What's up, moviegoers? It's your man BT. I watched The School for Good and Evil on Netflix, and I tell you one thing. While I enjoyed it, they made a huge mistake in this movie. A huge mistake in this movie. And I'll tell you what it is. Stick around. What's up, moviegoers? So, The School for Good and Evil came out on October 21st on Netflix. This Netflix fairy tale began with two brothers, Ryan and Rafal, both played by Kit Young. Why spend money on two actors when you can just hire one and get them to play both characters? That's what I would have done. Anyway, the twins start the School for Good and Evil, and the purpose is to prepare its students to participate in fairy tales. During what was supposed to be a friendly duel between the two brothers, Rafal uses blood magic and attacks his brother Ryan. They start struggling. No, Rafal! Yes, Ryan. So Ryan ends up throwing his evil twin brother off of a cliff, and then that scene cuts out. And I'm like, geez, man. That was already rough, and that was like the first minute. So, of course, that was a long time ago. So then they move you forward to what was considered present day. So, moving forward, you have best friends, Sophie, who's played by Sophia Caruso, and Agatha, who's played by Sophie Wiley. And they both live in a town called Gavelodon. And Sophie and Agatha are like best friends, and Agatha is being judged in this town called Gavelodon by the local people because they believe that her and her mother are witches. So then you have Sophie, who on the other hand, she's like the closest thing that Gavelodon has to a princess. She has the long blonde hair, but she has like a mean daddy and two badass brothers. But they are best friends and they stick together. One day they wander into a bookshop and they find a copy of Cinderella with a stamp on it that says SGE. Of course, that stands for the School of Good and Evil. So the shopkeeper begins to tell them about the school, that it's a school used to prepare witches, used to prepare princesses, tells them all about the school. Agatha's all like, that doesn't sound like any fun. And Sophie is like, I wanna go, I wanna go. I wanna get away from my daddy, I wanna get away from my brothers. I wanna go, I wanna go, I wanna go. So what Sophie does is she writes a letter to the school, and what it ends up doing is enrolling her in the school. Can you imagine writing a letter to Yale and saying, hey, Yale, I think I wanna go to your school. And I really think I'll do well. Yeah. And then you just automatically enroll. So just imagine if you wrote that letter to like a prison. Hey, I think I want to go, and then they come and pick you up. So on the night of a blood moon, Sophie sneaks out because she's gonna leave. She already wrote the letter and put it in the tree, and she's like, I'm gonna leave. She's like, I'm gonna go find this school and find out how to become a princess. That's what I want to do. And Agatha, of course, is her best friend. She loves her to death, and she's like, no, I'm not gonna let you go. You're gonna get hurt. You know, something's gonna happen. You gotta stay here with me. The only friend I got in town. So out of nowhere, a skeleton bird comes, swoops them both up and takes them to a land far away. So it takes them to the School for Good and Evil, but what it does is it drops Agatha, who's the skeptic, into the School for Good, and the princess, like Sophie, drops her in the School for Evil. Agatha looks around and she's like, why are all these little prissy girls in dresses? You know what I mean? And Sophie's like, all these ogres and witches with big noses, and she's like, oh no, this isn't good. I'm supposed to be a princess. What's going on here? Can you imagine getting dropped in the wrong place? That's just like putting a rapper in a con. The rapper's like, go Jesus. Go Jesus. I shouldn't say that, but I said it. So as it turns out, the schools for good and evil are right next to each other. And it's just like every other high school in America. You got your Evers over here. These are the well-to-do kids, the promising kids that are gonna go to college and do great things. They're called Evers. And then over here, you got your Nevers. These are the kids that ain't never going to college, ain't never gonna amount to shit. It does a good job of separating what is supposed to be good and what's supposed to be evil. But keep in mind that I said supposed, because that's gonna play a huge role in this movie as it goes on, without giving you a spoiler. Ha! So just like any school, this school has two deans. They have the dean for the School of Evil, which is Lenora Lesso, played by Charlize Theron, and they have the dean for the School of Good, which is Clarissa Dover, played by Kerry Washington. And then there's always a headmaster, and that's played by the great Lawrence Fishburne. To tell you too much about this story would do it a disservice, but I will tell you this. Hold on. This movie was directed by Paul Feig. It was based on a book by the same name written by Soman Chainani. The world premiere of this movie was Regency Village Theater in LA, October 18th, and worldwide, October 21st. So this movie just got on Netflix. Now, I started watching this movie and I didn't look at how long this movie ran. I try not to do that because I want to just see what happens. If I'm watching a movie and like 20 minutes into the movie, I'm like ready to turn it off. I'm like, man, something needs to happen. You know, that way I can get a good assessment of the movie. But I didn't see how long this movie was, but I did after about an hour in. I was like, man, how long is this movie? This movie ran 2 hours and 28 minutes, but I will say it was 2 hours and 28 minutes filled with princes, princesses, magic, biting flowers, and lots of magic. And there are a lot of talks of a sequel already to this movie. So this movie is doing big things already. I thought it ran just a bit long, but I did enjoy the ride. I mean, 2 hours and 28 minutes. And this is the only thing with this movie. For a movie to run 2 hours and 28 minutes, I kind of questioned the release date of this movie. I thought that this movie would have been perfect if it had been released when the kids are out of school, you know, over the holiday break. You know, so they can actually sit there and watch the movie in one sitting. It's not a movie that you want to see on a Wednesday night. It's not a movie a kid's going to want to see on a Wednesday night. It's not a movie that a parent and a kid is going to see on a Wednesday night because you got to go to school. It ain't that many hours in the day. You ain't going to be up to 1 o'clock in the morning trying to watch this movie. So it's good for the weekend, but I think if this movie was released over the holidays, it would have done a lot better. I think that this movie does have the making of something special as far as fairy tales go, that if it was released over the holidays, it could have moved on to Broadway and became a musical, some kind of play, something like that. I think this movie does have that kind of juice, and I think that it's going to actually move forward in the history of fairy tale-ism. I don't know. So this movie is #1 on Netflix at the time of recording this video. And if you want to see more movie reviews, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. They should be up on the screen right now. It should be popping. It should be some boxes popping up right now with some more of my movie reviews. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the ticket line.